Thank you for joining me for this episode of Nextbiteoflife.com podcast. My name is Kem. Today we're talking with Anita and Richard from noparticularplacetogo.net. So can you please say hello to everybody, Anita and Richard?
Good morning.
Hello.
Now you guys are located in Portugal, right?
Yes, in Lagos.
How long have you been there?
6 months now. We got here, or we moved here in November 2015.
Wow, and you're loving it, of course.
It's great. There's not too much wrong to gripe about.
Nice. Now, the first thing I have to ask you, because I've been really curious, and I hope the answer is what I want to hear. What is the origin of your blog name?
We knew we were going to write a blog, and we were in Mexico at the time, so it was in Playa del Carmen. So it was in 2012 when we were talking about writing a travel blog, and so we were tossing around some names, and when we were walking to the store, I went, wow, you know what, that Chuck Berry song, riding along in my automobile, and
yes.
It goes along a little bit, and then it says no particular place to go. And I said, that would be a great name. And we walked into the store, and they're playing a Chuck Berry song, and it's no particular place to go.
Fantastic.
It's just kind of really strange.
It was meant to be.
Yeah, especially considering that the song has to be 60 years old.
Exactly. See, that was the thing. I was hoping that was what you were going to say, because I'm like, as soon as I saw it, I go, I wonder if it's from that song. I guess we're pretty old, huh? Because that was the first thing I thought. So I'm glad that that's exactly where it came from. Good to know. Now, you've been in Portugal for about 6 months. What were you doing before that? Where were you?
We were in. I'll kind of start at the beginning. We decided in 2011 that my husband Richard was retired already. He retired early, and he was having a great time fishing and hanging out with buds. And I said, well, you're having too much fun. I want to retire early, too. And I was a pharmacist like you, and as you know, the whole medical industry is going through such upheavals now. I didn't want to stick around for all the changes.
I don't blame you.
And so anyway, in 2011, we decided, well, shoot, let's just sell everything. And at that time, we were talking about moving to just Mexico. And it seemed like the more we sold that year, we kind of got the idea that there was no reason to stop with Mexico. And we thought, well, we'll check out Central America too. So we started traveling in September of 2012 and went through Mexico, or part of Mexico, and then all of Central America over the next year and a half. Nice. And then South America, and 2 years.
In Central America, we got done.
Wow.
Panama, when we came back to the States for the first time.
Yeah, and then we went back. We came back to the States after 2 years and got new clothes.
I know it's cheap there. It's about the only thing that's cheaper there.
Yeah, and I'm short, so it's hard to find certain sizes. So.
Oh yeah, it's very true.
So then we did some traveling in several months in South America, and at that time we were planning on going to Malaysia, and we got a house sitting offer to go to Curacao.
Wow.
And then I ran into a repositioning trip from Florida to Barcelona, and we thought, well, let's go to Europe. We've never been there. And once we got to Spain and then Portugal, it was like, oh, let's we needed to set up a base anyway, or we were looking at setting up a base. And so we thought, well, let's live in Portugal if we can get a visa, and then travel more throughout Europe.
Great. I'm glad you mentioned visa. How long did it take to get one? What was take us through the steps as far as getting a visa. What kind did you get?
We ended up with, the first time we came over, of course, we were on the tourist visa.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a 90-day visa anywhere in the EU, the Schengen visa.
Okay.
So then we went back to the United States, and we picked up, the first visa is for, you fill out the Schengen visa form, but it's for a 4-month, they call it a long-term visa.
Okay.
And it's for 120 days, and for that visa, correct me if you have to add something, Richard, we had to do a police check, and we had to, an FBI check. We had to show that we had income to support us, and we haven't seen any figures of how much income you have to show a month, but we heard somewhere that it was about 500 euros per each people that you have to show that you've got some kind of pension or something.
Okay.
What else do we have to show?
I know that in Spain it's 600 euros, but even in different cities, it changes. For Portugal, most of the time, everybody was saying 500 euros per person. So you either have to show that, you have it in the bank, or you're working for it.
We provided bank records.
Okay, great. So then that was approved. After how long did it take?
It took us about 30 days to get the documents together.
Okay.
And then we actually flew to the consulate or the embassy in D.C., Washington, D.C., because we have relatives in the area that we wanted to visit too. So we just hand-walked our application over. And I think that took 7 or 8 weeks. Richard says it was 10 weeks after that they gave us the okay, and they say that they have 2 to 3 months to review everything.
Okay. So as soon as you got that, it was on, you were ready to go, and you had to sell everything else and prepare to move?
No, at that time, well, we basically sold before we even took off in 2012, we sold everything but our house.
Okay.
And we sold our house at the end of 2015.
Okay.
This year, we had a lease, a property manager leasing it on Padre Island. You're familiar with that
yes.
area?
Yes. Uh-huh.
So we decided to sell that house. So we moved over to Portugal with 2 suitcases each and a couple backpacks. So
nice.
We really don't have that much. Although we're acquiring it now.
I know, it creeps up on you, doesn't it?
It does. Now we have a car, and we went to a boot sale yesterday, and we found a crock pot with a European plug.
Before you know it, you're going to have another household full of stuff.
We're trying not to get too acquisitive or to buy things that it's real easy to get rid of if we decide to ever move again.
Exactly. So basically, walk us through, how is life in Portugal compared to the U.S., for instance?
I'm going to let Richard answer that.
Okay.
Well, in many respects, it's very similar. You have all the conveniences. All the utilities work as well or better than in the U.S. Groceries, if you want modern grocery stores, they're available, either German or English or French or Portuguese. So all those there, but The real difference lies in the pace of life, which is extremely slow. It's a very soft sort of life.
Okay.
The people are extremely friendly. They're very outgoing. You don't have to ask them for help. They'll generally offer help before you need to ask.
Nice.
Okay. The food is also phenomenal, both what you eat in the local restaurants, and we generally try and eat local.
Okay.
And the foods, the fresh foods especially, the fruits and produce, eggs, butter, margarine, fish, meat, those all the tastes are phenomenal. It's in the States they grow things for looks, for packaging, for transportation, and for salvage. And here they grow things, everything's pretty much your meat, your produce, your eggs, butter, fruits and vegetables, those are all locally grown. Fish, of course, is brought in freshly.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a slower lifestyle, and it's a better diet, just automatically.
Nice. Nice. Those are, great reasons to move.
Oh, great.
We missed your comment.
Oh, no, I said those are great reasons to move. Food alone is enough reason to move for me.
Yeah, and the economy in Portugal is, cost of living is probably among the cheapest in Europe. And so while right now the trade rate, the exchange rate's a little bit unfavorable, it's still a very economical place to live.
Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned cost of living, Richard, because that was going to be my next point. Compared to the U.S., I mean, can you give us like an idea of how much, a total idea of how much you pay per month for living in Portugal?
Oh, I could, but I wasn't prepared for that question.
Oh, okay, sorry.
So that's fine. I can tell you we pay $900 or $800 for a two-bedroom apartment, fully furnished.
Okay.
It's got an ocean view. And,
nice.
The beach and views on our apartment.
And verandas and a rooftop terrace, two baths.
Wow.
We have a car. We bought a second-hand Skoda with 35,000 miles on it.
Okay.
That was $8,200 American.
Mm-hmm.
The insurance is...
That is...
the car insurance is fully loaded. Every option, full coverage. We can't believe that the premiums required are of 5 million euros aggregate. And all this costs us $336 a year. Medical insurance is $90 a month.
For both of us.
For both of us.
Wait a minute, that's even less than we pay over here. We just might move to Portugal then.
Yeah. So we have that, which is private insurance. If we are sick and in a location where we don't have the private insurance available, we have national health insurance for free.
Nice.
We signed up for that. So food, we can get a big bag of food for $40, and that will have fresh fruits, vegetables, meats, yogurts. It's what you buy in the grocery store is piddling, especially if you shop locally.
Yes.
We shop primarily in a Portuguese owned operated store. The prices are extremely reasonable.
Utilities run about 150 euros maybe a month. That'd be gas, electricity,
And
water. That might be a little bit high.
Mm-hmm.
We've been paying for heat this year.
Yeah, all our utilities have been during the cold season.
Okay. Yeah.
Be cheaper during the summer. We very seldom use AC.
Well, it definitely sounds reasonable. It's comparable to the prices that we pay here. Actually, the blog post I have on this week is all about the cost of living in Sevilla. And the first comment somebody said is like, are you sure it's that cheap for your groceries? I think you have a slush fund somewhere that And I go, no, because everything is really fresh, like you say, Richard. You know, you go to the store and you come back with a huge bag or huge bags, and you're told it's like, you know, $30. In the U.S., I come out with one bag, and it's like $90. I just don't get it. I mean, I get it.
We were there this summer when we were waiting for our visa to go through, and shopping. We rented an apartment and we house sat for some friends too. And the first time we were in the grocery store, we almost fell over. The cost.
The cost and the quality was down.
Yes. Oh, you sound like my husband. You know, the first time we went to H-E-B, like after we went back in October, and he's like, I can't believe this prices. I can't believe this. They're not even fresh. And, I mean, he had so many complaints of like, this is what we get. So we're so used to it here now that it was just a shock to our system.
It is. And then the choice. I mean, we can talk about how wonderful it is to have choice in American stores, but there's so many choices, it's really overwhelming.
Yes.
One picture of, we wanted to buy cheese nips.
Okay.
And we're just looking for original cheese nips, and there were over, what?
Choice. And it was mind-boggling. It was unnecessary. It was just gluttony for no reason.
It's true.
Does gluttony need a reason?
Do you miss anything about the U.S. that you find that you can't really get in Portugal?
Friends and family.
Yeah.
A crock pot. You can't buy crock pots here. This one was bootlegged in from Great Britain. British plug and put on a few little things like that.
Yeah.
But really, because it's modern. I mean, it's America.
Yeah.
So it's Western.
Yeah.
I won't say that. It's Western. So anything, we have excellent doctors. I came here and through our Medish plan.
Uh-huh.
We both have our GP, gatekeeper. Then we have our specialist for me. So you have everything. You have modern roads. You have modern conveniences. Yeah, it's what you need for all of your fundamental living there, with a nicer climate, wonderful people, and excellent. It's all it based on.
Yeah. And after all, I mean, what is life all about if you can't enjoy those things, you know? I find that the U.S. is so in a rush to do this, to do that, to go to work, to do that. You don't get to enjoy life. And it seems like here, this is all they do. They enjoy life. And, you know, work is like a byproduct.
Exactly. I was going to say when you were talking about things you can't get here, we keep a little list going, and we'll be going back in the fall again, probably August, and probably a month in August, September. And so the list has things like Lowry's chili seasoning on it.
Mm-hmm.
And certain brands of clothing that we like.
Yeah.
But that's basically, we may get a few electronics.
Yeah. Ours was pancake syrup. That was what we really wanted, because here they put honey on their French toast or pancakes, and I'm like, oh, that's just disgusting. So we actually had his mother mail us some pancake syrup from Rome because we were just desperate. And the first thing we got when we went to H-E-B was pancake syrup to bring back.
The first thing when we got back was I wanted a pumpkin pie.
Oh. I can see you missing that. I must admit that I do miss a margarita. I just can't find a good one. I don't care where I've been in Europe. They just cannot make a good margarita. So that is one thing that I actually miss. But apart from that, like you said, you know, Richard, family and friends. And that's pretty much it, you know. Everything else you can live with that. Things that I thought that you couldn't live with that, like the big house, the big car, and then you're like, no, what? I'm packing for a week. I've got my hand luggage. What else do you need? So it makes it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just in agreement with you.
Yeah. You can't. Well, I would totally love to see your place in Portugal. It sounds lovely. And I hope you put pictures up on the website so everybody can see it and enjoy it and wish they were there.
We'll be doing that kind of on the same lines as you are, where we'll write about where we're living. We're in the middle of the move now from our old apartment on the marina, which is where we ended up or started out,
Okay.
and then moving into this new apartment. And then we were thinking about doing a post on what 800 euros rent looks like.
Exactly.
And cost of living, because people ask us too what it costs.
Yeah. I think that would be great because, I get people emailing me and I'm like, okay, you want to answer this person, then you answer that person. And I thought, you know what? Because they're like, I don't believe you for the prices of 2015. So I'm like, okay, we'll do one from April 2nd, 2016. I mean, the prices haven't changed any. This is just the prices, this is just what it is that I'm telling you. What do I have to gain from making it up or pushing it higher or lower or whatever? I don't care if you move here or not. So now we're good.
I think some of the magazines that are out there, the online magazines, and I won't mention names.
I think I know which one you mean especially.
But I think that they really, because they underreport what it costs to live in so many places. I think because they do that, it makes people very skeptical when you get the picture. And it costs more than what they're saying, but it's still very reasonable.
Very true. You're right. I didn't think of it that way, but you're absolutely right. Because, I would be skeptical too. It's like, live in, Shanghai for $2 a day. Yeah, if you're living on the streets. So I can see why people just kind of don't believe it.
That's exactly what we say too, is you can live in the United States a lot less than what we were living there. I mean, we were on Padre Island, and we were making money, though.
True.
And so we're spending it.
True.
You can always live for less, but it becomes a question of good quality versus saving money, too. There's a point where you want a comfortable life.
Exactly. Definitely. I think, in the U.S., you're so conditioned, like you said, to make sure that you're keeping up with the Joneses and, you don't realize that you're on some sort of wheel and it takes forever for you to get off of it because all the ads, everything is like, you must buy this, you must buy that, you must live here, you must do this. And then it's like your insurance is 10%, your rent is 50%. By the time you add up your salary, you're at a 95%. And so your quality of life is really low. And here you get to be in Europe, right?
Yeah. And what we found out was, at least for us, because we were both really focused on careers, was life revolved around work with 2 weeks of vacation a year.
Yes.
And that was it. I mean, work, and then when our son was home, it was work and family, and friends kind of fell to the wayside.
Mm-hmm.
You just kind of focus on just a few things, and here we definitely, because we have time especially, but we've also tried to rearrange our priorities so that meeting people, relaxing, and just taking each day as they come is our priority.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic because really, that's just what life is all about. So what advice would you guys have for somebody who says, you know what, I want to do this. I want to move to Portugal as well. What steps do you think they should take? I mean, it doesn't make any sense for everybody to just say, you know what, I'm just going to pack up and go, just like Anita and Richard did. I mean, they did it, we can do it. Do you have any advice for somebody who wants to do this?
We'll take turns on answering this.
Good.
But probably the first thing that really helped us was having some other countries under our belt for just comparing what we wanted to do. So that we can compare and say, yeah, Portugal is the right place for us versus Central America or Mexico. So having some idea of how to compare different countries is a really good way to go. The other thing is to figure out what you can live without.
Okay.
So in Europe, a lot of people don't even use cars.
Yeah.
In the Algarve, it's more rural, and having a car makes it gives us access to beaches and little villages that are a lot harder to get to by bus or by train.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another thing. And then the big thing is to visit and maybe spend a month or something, a while before you just cut all your ties.
Good.
Go small.
Good. Because I think what happens is that people move somewhere and then they realize that, oh, maybe this is not the best place for me, but you have to do your homework before you can do all the research you want online, ask questions, but you really need to, make sure it's the perfect place for you. So, Richard...
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, Richard, you were going to weigh in, hopefully.
Yeah, I would endorse everything that Anita has said. There's definitely, if you don't have a lot of experience with other countries, you need to take a year or so and visit here. You can only have 30 days or 90 days, then you have to be out for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Back in again. But I would experience Portugal first and realize that in the Algarve you can live probably with speaking minimal Portuguese. But if you want to get away from the Algarve, you're probably going to need to speak Portuguese, at least to some extent.
Okay.
It's a difficult language to learn.
Yes. Thank you.
If you know Spanish, Italian, or French, that'll assist you, but the pronunciation is difficult. And it's really wise if you're going to live in a country to speak their language.
Or some of it.
Or some of it. It's a courtesy, and it also enhances your ability to enjoy the country.
Very true. Very true.
Those things, plus what you need, instead of figuring out where you want to live in the country, if this is the climate you want, if the city sizes are the same, because they don't have medium-sized cities. I mean, this is a small country.
Mm-hmm.
In the Algarve, the biggest city is 60,000 people. And all of the cities here, Lagos, where we're living, is perhaps 35,000 max.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a major city.
Yeah.
500,000, maybe 600,000 in Lisboa, in Lisbon. The capital is probably its maximum, and there are cities around it. So it's the country's more rural, and it's smaller, but as a consequence, there's a lot more community.
Yeah.
But I would, if people are inclined, do your homework, spend the time and the money there to investigate it. If it works for you, so be it.
Great advice. I mean, I can't think of anything more to add. That's just wonderful because, like you said, you've got to try it out and see if it's the perfect place for you. If it is, then you go with it. If not, but you need to do your homework. You can't expect everybody to just answer all your questions. You've got to take time out and actually go and check it out and save your money.
One thing that we kind of thought about too is we had a good friend that we made around Christmas time who was from Chicago. She found the Algarve too rural and was looking at going up above north of Lisbon, where there's more of an American expat community too.
Mm-hmm.
And we really like the Algarve, the slower pace. The beaches are fabulous. I love leaving the city, and we drive out and there's fields right there and great big storks nests and seeing some of the country life. I like being kind of in a rural area, but the fit for some people, it's all different depending on who you are. Some people want more of an expat community, and others want to meet more of the locals. And we like meeting kind of a blend, kind of meeting people from other places. And we certainly don't want to go somewhere where all we meet are American expats. That's not what we want.
I don't blame you. This is great. Well, thank you so much, you guys, for joining me today. It's been wonderful. I hope everybody got to learn more about Portugal, about moving there, about things you can do there, about things you cannot do there if you don't want to. It's been amazing having you guys. I want everyone to check out their website at noparticularplacetogo.net. That's noparticularplacetogo.net. Again, thank you so much, Anita and Richard. I can't thank you enough. I hope maybe somewhere down the line after you've been there for a while, you can even come back up and we can do a part 2 where you tell us more about life in Portugal.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you. You guys have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you again for joining me for Nextbiteoflife.com podcast. As usual, all the pictures that go along with this podcast, like places in Portugal, you can find on the website, which is nextbiteoflife.com. Thanks again. We'll talk to you later. Bye.